Have you ever wondered if living alone as an older man might actually be one of the best choices you'll ever make? For decades, many of us have been told that being alone means being lonely, that a man without constant company is somehow incomplete, or even at risk of fading into isolation. But what if I told you that the exact opposite can be true? The truth is, living on your own, especially in your 60s, 70s, and beyond, can open doors to health, happiness, and independence in ways you may have never imagined. This video isn't about glorifying solitude for the sake of solitude. It's about shining a light on the real and often overlooked benefits that come when an older man chooses to live life on his own terms. Benefits that go far beyond the surface. We're talking about reduced stress, greater peace of mind, stronger confidence, and even a renewed sense of purpose. If you're a retired man, a widower, or simply someone who values independence, this message is especially for you. Because society doesn't always tell your side of the story. Too often, older men are pictured as dependent, needing to be taken care of, surrounded at all times, unable to thrive on their own. But the reality is far more powerful. Living alone doesn't mean shutting out the world. It means reclaiming control of your space, your time, and your choices. It means creating a home where peace is the default, where your hobbies and passions have room to breathe, and where every social connection you make is one that you choose, not one you feel forced into. So in the next few minutes, we're going to explore 7 powerful benefits of living alone as an older man. Each one has the potential to change how you look at this season of life. Some may surprise you. Others may inspire you to embrace this independence with new confidence. And by the time we reach the last one, you may just discover that living alone isn't about what you lose, it's about what you gain. Freedom, dignity, and a deeper sense of happiness than you might have thought possible. Let's begin with one of the greatest and most immediate benefits of living alone as an older man: freedom and autonomy. Think about it. For most of your life, your days have likely been shaped by others. Maybe it was the demands of your job, waking up at a certain time, commuting, answering to bosses, deadlines, and schedules. Maybe it was raising a family, making compromises for the sake of your children, adjusting to your spouse's needs, attending community events, or planning your day around what worked for everyone else. These responsibilities were not bad. In fact, they gave your life structure and meaning. But now, in your later years, something shifts. Suddenly, for the first time in decades, you are given the gift of deciding everything for yourself. And that's what living alone makes possible. Freedom in this stage of life isn't just about avoiding arguments or getting to pick your TV show. It's about a deeper sense of dignity. It's about waking up and asking yourself, what do I want today to look like? Without anyone else's voice overruling yours. Imagine this. You wake up at 5 a.m. because you love the quiet of the early morning. You brew yourself a cup of coffee, sit by the window, and watch the sunrise in complete silence. No one is rushing you, no one is asking why you're up so early. Later that day, you might decide to take a long nap, or skip cooking altogether and just make yourself a sandwich for dinner. And here's the beauty. There's no judgment, no negotiation, no explaining. Just choice. And that choice, those daily personal decisions, add up to something powerful: autonomy. Psychologists have studied this and found that autonomy, or the ability to direct your own life, is one of the strongest predictors of happiness at any age. According to research published in PubMed, older men who live alone often describe their experience in terms of self-determination and self-growth. They talk about finding balance, building new routines, and enjoying a sense of purpose that comes not from others, but from within themselves. The Good Men Project even shared a perspective from men who say that living alone later in life feels like stepping back into youth. Not because they're trying to relive the past, but because they finally feel unburdened. It's almost like a return to the freedom they had in their early 20s, before work, family, and responsibilities set in. Except this time they carry the wisdom and maturity of a lifetime. Let me give you an example. I once met a man named Charles, a 72-year-old retired construction worker. For years his life had been nothing but schedules, alarms, deadlines, and obligations. When his wife passed away, people worried about him living alone. They thought he'd sink into loneliness. But Charles discovers something completely different. He began to structure his days exactly how he wanted. He took up painting in his garage, something he'd always dreamed about but never had time for. He went fishing whenever the weather felt right, sometimes at sunrise, sometimes at sunset. He even redecorated his living room into a kind of workshop studio, filling it with tools, brushes, and canvases. When I asked him how he felt, Charles smiled and said, "I never realized how freeing it is to answer only to myself. For the first time in 50 years, I don't have to check with anyone. I just decide, and I do it." That kind of freedom isn't selfish. It's restorative. It brings energy back into a man's life. And here's the important part. It doesn't mean you cut yourself off from others. You can still meet friends for lunch, spend time with your children and grandchildren, or join community groups. But the key difference is that you choose when and how. Those interactions are not obligations, they are invitations you accept because you want to, not because you have to. And that makes every connection feel lighter, more enjoyable, and more genuine. So, when we talk about freedom and autonomy, it's not just about doing what you want. It's about reclaiming dignity. It's about realizing that life is still yours to shape, no matter your age. And for an older man, that realization can spark a sense of strength and confidence that carries into every part of life. Another remarkable benefit of living alone as an older man is the peace and calm that fills your home when it truly becomes your own space. Think about how much of our lives are surrounded by noise, arguments, disagreements, competing schedules, TV shows playing in the background that you don't even enjoy, people coming and going at different hours. Even in the happiest homes, there are moments of tension. Whose turn is it to cook or clean? Why is the television so loud? Should money be spent this way or that way? These small conflicts may seem ordinary, but they quietly chip away at your sense of peace. When you live alone, all of that melts away. Suddenly, your home becomes a sanctuary. You decide the volume of the television. You choose whether the radio plays or whether silence reigns. You no longer have to negotiate about meals, cleaning schedules, or daily routines. The constant hum of tension disappears, and in its place grows something priceless: tranquility. This peace is not emptiness, it's restoration. It allows your body and mind to relax, to exhale, to recharge. And at an age when stress takes a greater toll on the heart, blood pressure, and sleep, that calm environment becomes more than a luxury. It becomes medicine. In fact, research supports this. Studies published on PubMed show that older men living alone often describe their experience as finding some kind of freedom and peace. They report feeling less drained, more balanced, and better able to focus on what truly matters to them. Another qualitative study revealed that solitude, when it is chosen rather than forced, actually enhances psychological well-being in older adults. It gives them space to reflect, regulate emotions, and find a healthy rhythm in daily life. Let's bring this to life with a story. Robert, a 78-year-old widower, shared something profound with me. After his wife passed, everyone expected him to move in with his daughter. They thought he would be too lonely to live alone. But Robert knew himself well. He craved tranquility more than company. So he made the decision to stay in his own home. At first, friends whispered that it was a mistake. They worried he'd become isolated. But Robert discovered the opposite. Every evening, he would sit in his recliner by the window with a cup of tea and simply watch the sunset. No interruptions. No one talking over the quiet. Just peace. He told me, "At first I thought I'd miss the noise. But now I realize the quiet is a gift. I can read my books without distraction, listen to my old records, or just think. And when I'm with family, I show up happier, lighter, and more present." That's the power of a calm environment. It doesn't make you antisocial. It makes you better when you do socialize. Because instead of being drained by constant arguments or disruptions at home, you approach your interactions with others refreshed and energized. You give the best version of yourself to friends and family, because your personal environment has been restoring you, not depleting you. And this peace has ripple effects. Men who live alone often report better sleep. They aren't staying awake with stress or irritation. They fall asleep easier, sleep deeper, and wake up more rested. Lower stress levels mean healthier blood pressure, fewer headaches, and even a stronger immune system. So, peace isn't just about enjoying silence. It's about protecting your health. It's about walking into your own home and feeling your shoulders drop, your breath deepen, and your mind unclench. Living alone for an older man doesn't mean being cut off. It means curating a sanctuary, a place where calm is the default, where peace is the foundation, and where life feels lighter every single day. And sometimes that sanctuary is exactly what keeps you strong enough to face the world outside with confidence and joy. The third powerful benefit of living alone as an older man is the freedom to create your own custom routine and healthy lifestyle. A rhythm of life that fits your body, your energy, and your personal goals. One of the greatest challenges many men face after retirement is the sudden loss of structure. For decades, work provided that structure. Wake up at 6 a.m., get dressed, clock in, eat lunch at noon, come home in the evening. At the same time, family life demanded compromise: when to eat dinner, when to go to bed, how weekends were spent. But when you live alone, something extraordinary happens. You get to rebuild your routine from the ground up. You design it, not out of obligation but out of choice. And that choice can transform your health. Maybe you're a morning person who feels strongest right after sunrise. Living alone means you can get up, stretch, and go for a walk at dawn without worrying about disturbing anyone. Or maybe you prefer slow mornings and feel more energetic in the evening. You can schedule your meals, exercise, or hobbies at the times that feel natural to you. Even something as simple as eating changes dramatically. You decide what goes on your plate, how much, and when. No more adjusting your diet around someone else's preferences. If you want oatmeal and fruit every morning, you can. If you want to cook fish 3 nights in a row because you love it, you can. And if one night you don't feel like cooking at all, you can make yourself a quick sandwich or soup without worrying about judgment. And better able to focus on what truly matters to them. Another qualitative study revealed that solitude, when it is chosen rather than forced, actually enhances psychological well-being in older adults. It gives them space to reflect, regulate emotions, and find a healthy rhythm in daily life. Let's bring this to life with a story. Robert, a 78-year-old widower, shared something profound with me. After his wife passed, everyone expected him to move in with his daughter. They thought he would be too lonely to live alone. But Robert knew himself well. He craved tranquility more than company. So he made the decision to stay in his own home. At first, friends whispered that it was a mistake. They worried he'd become isolated. But Robert discovered the opposite. Every evening, he would sit in his recliner by the window with a cup of tea and simply watch the sunset. No interruptions. No one talking over the quiet. Just peace. He told me, "At first I thought I'd miss the noise. But now I realize the quiet is a gift. I can read my books without distraction, listen to my old records, or just think. And when I'm with family, I show up happier, lighter, and more present." That's the power of a calm environment. It doesn't make you antisocial. It makes you better when you do socialize. Because instead of being drained by constant arguments or disruptions at home, you approach your interactions with others refreshed and energized. You give the best version of yourself to friends and family because your personal environment has been restoring you, not depleting you. And this peace has ripple effects. Men who live alone often report better sleep. They aren't staying awake with stress or irritation. They fall asleep easier, sleep deeper, and wake up more rested. Lower stress levels mean healthier blood pressure, fewer headaches, and even a stronger immune system. So, peace isn't just about enjoying silence. It's about protecting your health. Because his daily rhythm belongs to him. He eats better, he moves more, and he rests when he needs to. He told me, "For the first time in years, I'm living at the pace that feels right for my body. And it's making me feel younger, not older." That's the power of a custom routine. Living alone gives you the chance to align your life with your natural energy, your personal health needs, and your true interests. And when you do, you create a lifestyle that doesn't just extend your years, but makes those years stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling. One of the most overlooked advantages of living alone as an older man is the extraordinary opportunity it provides for self-growth and the deepening of your inner life. For decades, many men live with the constant pull of external obligations, career deadlines, family responsibilities, financial pressures, household compromises. While these responsibilities are important and often fulfilling, they leave little space for genuine self-exploration. Living alone, however, can open a new chapter, one where your time, your thoughts, and your energy can be invested back into you. What this looks like in everyday life. Maybe you've always wanted to learn how to paint, but family and work always came first. Living alone gives you the quiet space to finally pick up the brush. Or perhaps you've carried around the dream of writing a memoir, starting a blog, or even just journaling about your life. And now, without distraction, you can finally give those thoughts the attention they deserve. Some men find purpose in studying scripture, meditation, or other forms of spiritual practice, allowing them to grow closer to their faith or deepen their understanding of life. In fact, research backs this up strongly. A qualitative study published in PubMed explored the lives of older men who live alone and found recurring themes of self-determination, structure, personal growth, and finding purpose. These men often described living alone not as a void, but as a fertile ground for inner exploration. They talked about the dignity that comes from deciding their own structure, the freedom to engage in creative or spiritual practices, and the joy of discovering parts of themselves that had been dormant for decades. Why it matters. Purpose and growth are not just nice extras in later life. They are essential for mental and emotional well-being. Studies have shown that older adults who maintain a sense of purpose live longer, have lower risks of cognitive decline, and report higher overall life satisfaction. Living alone can create the stillness and autonomy required to nurture that purpose. Story example illustrative. Take George, a widower in his late 60s. For years, his life was structured around work and family responsibilities. After his wife passed, people worried that he would struggle living alone. Instead, George began dedicating an hour each morning to writing about his life experiences, something he had always wanted to do. Over time, this daily practice not only gave him a profound sense of accomplishment, but also became a way to connect with his grandchildren, who loved reading his stories. What once seemed like solitude transformed into a legacy project that gave George renewed meaning. The bigger picture. Living alone doesn't mean living without growth. In fact, it may be the stage of life when growth takes on its deepest form. It's the season where you can finally ask, who am I when no one else is setting the agenda? What really matters to me? How can I use my time to leave something meaningful behind? For older men, the answer to those questions can be the difference between just existing and truly thriving. At first glance, people assume that living alone automatically leads to isolation. But here's the paradox. Many older men who live alone report having better quality relationships than they did before. Why? Because living alone gives you the power to choose your social connections, rather than feeling trapped in routines or obligations that don't feed your spirit. Think about it. When you share a home, whether with a spouse, children, or even extended family, much of your social life is shaped by obligation. Family events, household guests, neighborly small talk, even the simple act of negotiating who to spend time with can create social fatigue. Living alone lifts that weight. Suddenly, your social calendar belongs entirely to you. You get to decide who you invite over, how often you pick up the phone, which community groups or clubs you join, when you want silence and when you want company. This level of control matters enormously for mental health. Instead of feeling drained by obligatory interactions, you can invest your energy in fewer, but far more meaningful friendships and connections. Research shows that quality of relationships, not quantity, is what protects us against depression, cognitive decline, and even premature death in older age. In fact, studies published in PubMed and other gerontology journals highlight that older men living alone often describe their social lives as more intentional, more authentic, and even more rewarding. They learn to prune away shallow interactions and focus on the people who truly matter. Why it matters. Emotional well-being. Friendships chosen freely bring greater joy and less stress. Physical health. Strong, supportive social ties lower blood pressure, boost immune function, and even reduce risks of chronic disease. Cognitive resilience. Having real conversations, not just surface-level exchanges, keeps the brain engaged and sharp. Illustrative story. Consider Robert, age 72, divorced and living on his own. When married, his social life often revolved around his wife's family, her friends, or their children's activities. While he cared for them, he rarely had the chance to invest in friendships that reflected his personal interests. After moving into his own place, Robert started attending a local men's walking group. At first, he was nervous, but over time he built a circle of genuine friends who shared his love for fitness, history, and good humor. Robert now describes his friendships as smaller in number, but richer in depth. These connections were chosen, not imposed, and that made all the difference. The deeper truth. Living alone allows you to transform socializing from something you have to do into something you want to do. You're no longer forced into attending gatherings that leave you drained. You can choose the people who uplift you, inspire you, and challenge you. the ones who make life lighter and more meaningful. Practical angle for older men. Be intentional. Instead of waiting for social contact, actively choose it. Call a friend you actually enjoy talking to. Join a group that excites you. Say no without guilt. Living alone empowers you to decline draining obligations without apology. Invest in reciprocity. Give time and attention to those who truly give it back. In the end, living alone doesn't have to mean loneliness. It can mean liberation. You get to curate your social world like a gardener, pruning and planting fewer weeds, more vibrant blooms. And when you sit across from a friend you've chosen to spend time with, the connection often feels richer, more alive, and more rewarding than it ever did before. One of the most underestimated advantages of living alone as an older man is the freedom to control your finances exactly as you see fit. For many years, financial decisions are often shared, sometimes negotiated, sometimes argued about, and sometimes simply compromised. Marriage, raising children, or even living with family means that money is usually spread across multiple needs and wants, not all of which reflect your own priorities.